Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wildhorse adoption program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Hello friends, today is Saturday, December 27th, 2025. I'm a little late on the podcasting. Hope you all had a nice Christmas if you celebrate Christmas or your other holidays that you might celebrate as well. You can see I'm wearing a new Christmas present. This is from Randy, one of the several presents he got me. It's cold out this morning, so I am putting on extra layers, and I struggle a lot with this zipper, so if I struggle too much, we'll come back to it. Oh, I got it. Getting the hang of it, I guess. Gloves, and bucket of feed, and outside. Put on boots. Pointing you at the wall. Starting to get light out. There's Randy in the kitchen making breakfast. So let's see how cold it really is. I miscalculated the temperature, so Odin has like a rain sheet on. I'm not worried about him getting cold. He has a thick hair coat, and I always give him plenty of feed, and horses warm themselves from the inside out. So there's a number of ways that horses can warm themselves. One of them is their fur has that, I forgot what the word is, but it's the way that the hair can stand up and create some insulation. Sorry, it's dark out. I can see, so I hope you don't mind my talking. Anyway, when you put a blanket on a horse, that reduces that action of the hair to be able to stand up and create that insulation. However, the blanket does provide some windproofing, and they do keep themselves from the inside out, so provided they have enough forage to do that. And Odin has plenty of body fat to help him with that as well. So I actually have a fair amount of news, life news. Knitting wise, I'm still working on the same projects. I almost have a finished object for you. I'll probably show it to you and count it as a finished object because it is so close. Like 4 rows, 3 rows. Maybe I'll just finish it before I do this episode. So news on the horse front. news on the dad front, news on 2026 plans. I was thinking about doing a little bit of a year in review. Hi, boys. Yeah, Odin is standing outside, so not worried about him being cold. 2026 is going to be a big year, an exciting year, I hope. Injury-free year, I hope. So I'll tell you all about that. And maybe even some new knitting plans and some fun knitting-related Christmas presents I got. So I'll talk to you soon. And I would share some of the barn chores. I didn't finish what I was saying about blanketing. So some horses, not Odin, would need like some sort of insulation or padding under their blanket to help keep them warm. Like I said, I'm not worried about those. Hopefully I figure out how to time lapse this part, otherwise it's not going to be good footage. But this is hay for supper, feeding our grain, and then cleaning out the pens. I thought maybe I would take you with me to the feed room. Don't know how much you're going to be able to see propped up on the floor, but maybe you'll be able to see something. Grind up some flaxseed for them. Bragi gets the big tub. He doesn't really get much more food than Odin does, but he's just kind of a slob. So having the big tub helps keep the grain in the bin. Odin's cough syrup, which seems to work pretty well. A little electrolyte for flavoring. And help them, remind them to drink water. Odin's like 2 tablespoons of grain that he gets. A little more water. Make a delicious soup. Blanket off. Do the blanket. Alright, buddy. No, I'm not gonna get your tail all messed up in there. Maybe tolerant. disconnected. Oh, I know, that was hard. Ready? And hold your head down. Good job. Good job. Yeah, there you go. Good work. Good work. Light sheet I was referring to that Odin was wearing, so now his coat can do its work. The blanket just helps keep him cleaner. Oh, I already unplugged this, so maybe I never plugged it in last night. I don't remember. So anyway, I'm gonna go feed. Hi friends. Welcome to the knitting and kind of the rest of the segments part of the podcast. I feel like I have a lot to talk about. Let's talk about the yarny stuff first, because for those of you who aren't necessarily interested in the life stuff, then you can just stop whenever you feel like it and get on with your lives. So first of all, this is the Crossvine sweater that I am wearing. It's a pattern by Brioche. It's cabled, knit in pieces, and I used a Brioche Ultra Alpaca yarn. It's very nice, and it's lovely for the cold weather that we are having right now. I did finish my Christmas socks that I talked about on the walk out to the barn. So here they are with this interesting ribbed heel. And this is the first sock that I'm showing you. I haven't blocked them. I don't block my socks typically. I just wear them. And then here is the second one. So slightly different. They don't match. I don't care. Let's see if I can show this heel a little bit better. This is the Vanilla is the New Black sock pattern, which I will definitely knit again. I think it worked out really well for this yarn, which is a West Yorkshire Spinners holiday colorway, and I have about 48 grams left, so I could definitely make another pair of socks, possibly with just a slightly shorter leg. I think the leg is around 40 rows, so I could certainly do a 35. Well, I would probably do the cuff in the same color, so I could certainly do just a much shorter. So add that to my sock pile. I used this bag, so this Christmas bag that my mom made. A very simple drawstring bag, and I used Chogu red lace shorty, the 9-inch circulars. So and I think I used a US size 1. So these are interchangeable. They worked out really well until the toe degreases. I managed to do the toe decreases on the first sock, but not the second sock, and I had to switch over to Magic Loop at the very last 2 rows. So that's how that went. So the next thing I'm going to cast on, I think I'm going to use the same pattern. But I am going, this is a Legacy Fiber Arts. This is from last year's Advent. And I think I am going to do these. Probably do cuffs and toes in this contrast color. And this is called String Lights Repair Shop. So it's 75-25, 50 gram skein with a 20 gram mini. Well, this is their steel toes. So I am going to keep this label for the West Yorkshire Spinners, because I have been pondering the idea of giving away my leftover yarns, because honestly I have enough socks and I don't really need more socks in the same color. So if you are interested in a 48 gram leftover of this colorway, this holiday colorway, let me know. And speaking of Legacy Fiber Arts, I do have the final Advent to open. So I gathered the other ones up. So this shouldn't be a spoiler to anyone. This is week 4 since it is after Christmas. Ooh. So this is what it is. And it's called Splash. Very pretty lavender. So let me show you all of the colors together without knocking over the camera. So this is pretty in pink. I am not going to make socks out of this. I'm going to use this with a very pretty pink skein of yarn my mom gave me to make, I don't know, a garment of some kind. This one is Back to the Future. And this one is Breakfast Club. So very pretty, very 80s pastel-y colors, which I love very much. So looking forward to those, knitting those up. As far as works in progress, I've really been working on those socks. And the other thing I've been working on is the shawl. So this shawl has had a precarious start, so I had to rip it out again because I made two mistakes, and that was just too much for me. So I am back in this stage. So when I did the fade the first time, I didn't want to deal with all these ends, and so I did 2 rows, and then I accidentally did a stockinette row rather than a garter row. So I decided I would do the fade properly. So here's the fade right here, and that's between the white and this light blue. This is Clarity, and the white is just an undyed yarn I got for an Advent a couple of years ago. Polka Dot Creek, I think. So, you know, alternate every other row with this color and this color. I hope that makes sense. So that's where I am again. I hadn't intended on making this to be like necessarily a Christmas shawl. It's going to be mostly blue, so it'll be a nice summer shawl. The pattern, it's Wildwood Shawl by Kay Jones. The pattern is for DK weight. I decided to do it in figuring weight, and it is a big shawl with the DK weight. I will probably get something very close to that. So it's just a triangular shaped shawl, and you probably remember the first time I did it, it was striped in white and pink and blue, and I didn't like the stripes. I mean, at first I kind of did, but when the stripes started repeating, then I didn't like it so much. Hope you have something nice to drink. I'm still working on my tea. So this is in a bag made by Randy, my partner. He has an industrial sewing machine. And this is fake leather. It's lined in felt, and it has a belt that he had since high school as the handles. So that's really all that I have for the knitting. So if that's what you're here for, thanks for stopping by and spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. Again, if you want some yarn that is probably suitable for a shorty pair of socks, I probably have plenty. I may wind off a few grams of that skein to put in my mitered square blanket, and that'll be about 3 grams. So it could be like 45 grams of yarn. So if that interests you, let me know, and I would be happy to do that and send it your way. I have other yarns also that are in that same situation. So where I have already knit a pair of socks, I have already put the remnants in a square in my blanket. So they are also ready to go. Life stuff. So 2025 has been particularly challenging. If you're new here, in January I tripped and fell and out in the horse yard. Nothing that the horses did. I just tripped and fell and dislocated my right shoulder. So I spent 6 months recuperating, just with PT. Thank goodness I didn't have to have surgery, and was riding my bike and started riding Odin again. And then on June 28th, I was riding Odin. We were at a stop. We were finished, and he spooked at something, and I fell off, and I dislocated my left shoulder. So then I spent the last 6 months recuperating. Again, I was lucky. I didn't need surgery. This one actually wasn't as bad, so that was also good news. I was waffling between am I confident enough to ride? What do I need to prepare myself for riding? And then Odin came up lame. And at first my farrier thought it was a stone bruise, so we just monitored, and it was a nice time for me to just reflect on riding and how important that was to me. And I certainly didn't want to rush Odin. I didn't want him to push through pain. Well, that went on after, I would say, I think it started in September-ish, and finally this last round, must have been right before, no, it was in December. My farrier told me I needed to make a vet appointment. So I did. Then we had the massive floods. We had the massive atmospheric rivers that poured so much rain, and there was a lot of flooding up in the Skagit Valley where my vet is. And their building and facilities were safe, but the roads were flooded, so I couldn't get there. Finally, I got there, and I think I explained this all last time. I got there. Well, Odin is showing a significant amount of arthritis, so he's very stoic and he's not showing it, but we know it's there. And then we're trying the very conservative method of giving him some horsey anti-inflammatory. He protested. He did not like it. I mean, I tried to make him very soupy, molasses, delicious green soup. Nope, wasn't having it. I tried, taking away his hay and just leaving that for him. And nope, he wasn't having it. So hopefully I'll put in a video of him showing how angry he is about that, because he was running around and bucking and kicking and stuff like that in his yard. So it's like, okay, this is not working. So we need to do something else. Still, of course, it's holiday season. My vet's on vacation, which is fine. So we're going to try something else. In the meantime, I have been just working with Odin on very simple things, some positive reinforcement, using the Alexandra Kurland book called Modern Horse Training. And, it's just, he's familiar with standing on a mat. It's kind of just a station for him. Stand on your mat, and I'm going to take off your blanket. I'm going to groom you. I'm going to put your blanket back on. And he does that very well. But it's been a long time since we've done that, so we've been practicing that. With Bragi, I have been working on, we did get him loaded in the trailer the last training session that we had the Friday before Christmas. And I have been just working on some very simple things with him too. I've been playing with him what I call the oopsie game. So I put a plastic horse ball on top of a rain barrel, an upside down rain barrel in his pen, and then I put some treats underneath it, so he has to knock the ball off to get the treats. And knocking the ball off, that scares him. So I want him to accept surprises like that. So I showed him how to play the game at first. So, I would have him touch it and then I'd knock it off. And he was doing really good at that. So then I set the game up for him so that he would have to knock the ball off to get his treats. And that scared him. So we had to keep practicing that. It didn't matter if I knocked it off, but if he knocked it off, that startled him. So the purpose of this is I want him to show me how calm he can be. And so that's what we're working on. Me. That's what I'm working on with him right now. There's the dad update. So there's nothing really has changed. It's he had to go back to from the skilled nursing facility back to the ER for some swelling in his left limbs, and they sent him back within a couple hours. So I don't know what to think of that. He's really struggling. We saw him on Christmas Day, Randy and I, and we took Nancy, his wife, and spent a couple hours with him and got some other relatives on a phone call so he could talk to them. Got my sister on a phone call so she could talk to him. And that was really great. It really lifted his spirits. And he was really funny. He was really witty. He had a great sense of humor. He does not hear very well at all. And that's been an issue for a long time. The thing that worries me the most is he doesn't have an appetite, and that is not like Dad. Dad has always had an appetite. He's always had an appetite. He's always had a sense of humor, and for the most part, he's always been pretty cheerful about things. The lack of appetite is very concerning to me. I don't know how his body can recover without him taking in adequate nutrition. He says his lips burn and food just doesn't taste like anything to him. So he doesn't want it. He's very thin. So I don't know what to think. We just try to support him as much as we can. We're going back today, this afternoon, to visit, and then Randy and I are going to take some time to ourselves over the next several days before the new year. And I've lined up some other relatives to come visit. So hopefully that will be helpful. Why are Randy and I taking a few days to ourselves? Well, we have been a couple for over 18 years. It'll be 19 years in February. And he proposed. So if you follow me on Instagram, you already know this. So this is his late mother's ring, one of her rings. And sorry, I have a hair floating around here. So we got engaged, and super. It was a complete surprise to me. We hadn't really talked about, and we've kind of talked about it over the years, but it just hasn't been a priority for us. I mean, we met when I was 40 or 41, and he was in his late 30s, and neither one of us have kids, really want kids, so it just wasn't important. And so that he decided that this was going to happen this Christmas was very much a very nice surprise. It was very sweet, and he set it up on Christmas Eve in a very sweet way. I took a little video of that too, or I think there's a picture of the box with the ring in it in the stockings, in my stocking, and we were sitting on the sofa, relaxing in front of the fire, and we had planned to open presents the next day on Christmas Day. And he asked me something about one of the stockings that I had made. He asked me about it, and later I realized he was trying to call my attention to the stocking so that I would see the present in my stocking, which was on the opposite end. I mean, it's not far away. It's like, that far away. Anyway, so I answered his question about the stocking, and then we were talking, and then I just noticed, I said, "Is that something in my stocking?" And he said yes, and asked me if I'd like to open it. So I did, and it was a ring box, and I was really surprised and pleased. And so we have a little wedding planning to do for next year. It's going to be very simple. We're not having a big to-do. We'd like to get married on February 14th, since that is our anniversary. We talked about just going to the Justice of the Peace and just having it done there, but that's a Saturday, so probably not going to happen. So then we thought, well, maybe we will
ask one of his friends to get ordained, and which is apparently a very simple process that you can do online, and then have the ceremony here, and then just basically have an open house and invite people over who can come over. I know we are going to disappoint some of our friends and family members who really want something more special than that, but Randy and I are pretty pragmatic and simple people, and he has a stressful job. I have a lot going on right now with Dad in the hospital. I'm also planning a Ryan Rose clinic in August and coordinating that. So it's just, just trying to add the logistics of a complex wedding and I really don't want anyone else to plan it, quite honestly. I mean, getting married is a legal process. I think after 18 plus years, we know that we're right for each other. We bought this farm together almost 7 years ago now. So, it seems highly likely that we'll be successful in marriage. So that is what is happening. So 2025 has been a tough year, but also, the end of the year has a very bright highlight. And just to top things off, just so that we just don't bask in any sort of comfort, our dishwasher decided to go kaput yesterday. So we are going to go shopping for a dishwasher today before we visit Dad. And thankfully, a dishwasher is a relatively inexpensive appliance. But yes, our appliances are still marching towards death. I suppose we all are. So on that note, do what makes you happy, what brings you joy, because we don't know what the next realm is going to be like. And I think we are here on Earth to be happy, to help others and spread as much joy as possible. And that includes being joyful ourselves. Happy New Year. I will see you in the new year. Take care, everyone.